So today we're gonna have a sit down with me. This is a different location. I know you guys see it. This is my Vegas house. So, anyways, let's talk about Kanye West. I watched his interviews. I watched several of his interviews, and I've had time to digest a summary of what he said. I'm gonna try to give that back to you guys. I can't give it all back because honestly, Kanye talks a lot. He goes off on a lot of tangents, and like I'm tangential in thinking too, but Kanye West. I'm gonna talk about his interviews and my thoughts on them, and then I'm gonna also talk about his album. Is because this was gonna be like on the thumbs up segment, but I didn't want to put it on the thumbs up segment because this is not his album isn't thumbs up worthy. I'm gonna be very real. It's not thumbs up worthy. Not for me, not for my discourse and my political framework. And I know that sounds pretty lame, like, oh, you don't listen to certain music because of your political framework. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna listen to certain music. I'm not endorsing and streaming and getting people the views and the streaming numbers they need to make money. So that's me. That's my discourse. So like, subscribe. We're gonna get into this conversation. So let's do it. So this whole conversation around Kanye, like Kanye, I think this is really where I'm gonna start this discussion. And if you know what, one of my favorite YouTubers is As Told by Kenya, and I'm gonna be very honest. She has said it, and this is like what I'm gonna base my discussion off of. There is too much space. Kanye has too much space. we give him the platform and too much space to talk about things he shouldn't be talking about. I'm gonna be very honest about it. Honestly, Kanye is a contradiction. He is literally a walking contradiction. Like, in one of the interviews he was talking about his support of gay people, and he was the first one riding on that train and how he got backlash for it. But then, turn around, he's talking about Chick-fil-A and gay people are writing about it, rightfully so, as we should. And he doesn't see how you are never, how trying to play this I don't see identity, I don't see politics game is really making him have contradictory actions. And what's really even like more telling about this, like when I thought about this, I was like, Donda just in heaven. Donda is in heaven right now, being just so ashamed of everything Kanye has been doing. And it's really dangerous. It is really dangerous not to give mentally ill people a platform to speak on, but not to check for what they're saying when they're having their manic episodes. It's so hard to watch a Kanye West interview and not think he's having a manic episode. I'm gonna be very honest with you. Every Kanye West interview I've watched, it's like he has the gift of the gab. That's what it is. I have notes on this too, but he has the gift of the gab, and that is Kanye West's power. The gift of the gab. Is he a Gemini? It's the Gemini. It's the Gemini. Let's talk about it. If this video could all be summed up on what's wrong with Kanye West, it's because he's a Gemini. But I'm not going to get into that. I don't got nothing against Geminis. It's just this Gemini. Pisces gang, whoop whoop, just had to throw that out there. But, in the interview, he refers to the culture a lot. And what makes me so mad about it is when Kanye refers to the culture, he's literally talking about Black Twitter, about Black, the Black culture, and that's what really what he's really referring to in this culture that has, this culture that needs God, and we need to stop sinning. And to be honest, I feel like Kanye is my Bible thumping uncle right now. I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. That's why I ain't listening to Kanye. Religion is already a dangerous game. We can get into it about the hierarchy and the power structures and the political power that religion has continuously plagued us with throughout history, but we're not gonna get into that. We not. There's a conversation to be had. Is, are you really even pro-black? If you're a Christian, let's really talk about it. What was my what were like? We don't know the religious background of our slave descendants. A lot of us don't, and so a lot of us are disconnected from it. So the fact that we're using that Kanye has chosen Christianity as his new platform, and the fact that he thinks this is what will dismantle, the fact that we just need to love each other, and it's black people's faults that it's black people's faults that we can't see past skin color and everything else. Kanye, I just have one word for you. Fuck off. Seriously, bro. You're not like this pseudo intellect. I mean, he's over here talking about how he doesn't have to listen to anybody, any of the bloggers, any of the people telling him he's wrong, because he's a billionaire and he's a millionaire. With however much money, he's a celebrity, he's rich. However much money the bros done made, he doesn't have to talk to anybody. And that's what really, and he doesn't have to listen to anybody. And that's what makes it even, and that's his back pocket, in the back of his mind. That is why, that in the back of my mind, when I heard that, I was like, that is why we have to be really careful about the foundation of America, our freedoms, our supposed freedoms, and the lens at which we view why we should express these freedoms. Because, you know what? Let me tell you, the freedom of speech was made by a bunch of old white men. Old white men with status and privilege. And this is a dangerous game when anybody can have an opinion. When people with big spaces, with the space to do it, the space and the platform, and that we allow these people, because religion is a dangerous game. It's already a dangerous game for those who aren't mentally ill. Like, this is not a mental ill bash, and honestly, Kanye's mental illness aside, he has awareness. He has self-awareness. I wrote in my notes that he is meta-aware that the things that he said in these interviews could be self-serving in some type of way, and that's what makes it even more gross, because a lot of the things he says are self-serving. His opinion is, whether it's Christ-like, a lot of his opinions aren't even Christ-like, have nothing to do with Christianity. His idea that about the family structure, and that's why America's failing because of Instagram and social media, like you're kind of there. Like, social media is the problem, but what he doesn't get at is the fact that I can't get past white people treating me like crap, because institutional racism in the hierarchies. Like, Donda is sitting in heaven, like, really, like, just shaking her, like just shaking her head. Donda, I'm sorry, baby. I'm disappointed too. I'm disappointed in Kanye too. He has taken us on this journey, on this journey, from college dropout to Jesus to now. He has taken us on this journey, and he has gotten us nowhere. I'm going to be very honest. Kanye has gotten us nowhere on his journey of self-discovery and self-awareness. And my biggest problem is that Kanye is trying to say he don't want to play identity politics, but he out here doing it. This is exactly what he's doing. He's acting like you can separate Christianity from politics. He's acting like that's not, like that's some real struggle to be had. That's you're not doing it. What he says that he know. The problem is he's not calculating anymore. That's the real problem, man. Kanye is not calculating anymore. He's doing things off a whim. He is literally doing things off a whim. He's saying things off of a whim. Kanye is a pseudo-intellectual. I'm ripping this man's ass apart right now because I'm disappointed. Because Kanye is a black man with so much power, and who had a creative gift, and he's selling out that creative gift. We can talk about Christianity and and all of that, and why I personally am not, and like that, and why I've already, and like this is already biased coming from me because I'm not a Christian. I don't have Christian ideals and values, but I can see how, why that might be important to some people. But at the end of the day, the stuff that Kanye is talking about, the family problems that we're having, the contradictory Christian, these are old conversations. We've already had these conversations have been in the works. They've been in the narrative. That, like, Kanye ain't talking, and that's my problem with Jesus is King. It's sonically an eargasm. But it's like you don't even really care about the history behind the gospel and the gospel music. You feel me? The gospel music that you're ripping off of the Baptist music that came from slavery. Just that type of genre of music, and how, I mean, let's be real. Is Jesus is King a gospel album because he's talking about Christ or because he didn't cuss? That's my real issue here. Kanye didn't talk about nothing on Jesus is King. He didn't get us nowhere. We didn't get anywhere with Jesus is King. He didn't take me. I didn't have a revelation. Quite honestly, he didn't show me his revelation. I'm honestly very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in where Kanye's gone, and even with the misogyny that recently talking about Kim and everything else. It's like, bro, you know who you got with. You know who you know who you partner with. How dare you try to devalue her? And that's the problem. He tries to separate. You can't separate these politics, man. He's over here talking about, liberals are the reason why we are out here killing babies, as if women's rights isn't a fucking thing. And see, this is the misogyny. This is the misogyny, and this is what happens when you give religion a platform, a creative platform that's big, to a man that's really lost. Kanye is lost, and and the album just continues to prove he's lost. These interviews continue to prove that he is lost. He's over here talking about the culture and everything else, and how the culture turned our back, how we black people turned our back on him, and how we called him a coon. But that's not the real problem here. The real problem here is that you did coon stuff, Kanye. You don't have a real identity. I don't know if it's the Gemini. I don't know if it's the mental illness. And it's like you go back and forth on this conversation with mental illness, where some days you feel like it's okay not to take your meds, but next you can use that as a crutch. And I get it. Like, mental illness is debilitating, but Kanye, you're out here living this victim narrative with mental illness and try to make us feel like we should forgive you. And you haven't even said sorry. You haven't said sorry. I think the biggest thing we're looking for is a sorry. Sorry you did turn your back on black people and support Trump and made yourself look a fool and made us look a fool. Sorry you did that. Sorry you called yourself Jesus and tried to compare yourself to Jesus and took some weird I am God route. Like, I don't get it, Kanye. I'm genuinely lost. You talk about how us people in college need to stop focusing and take a step back and analyze the culture. But you know what? I got my BS in psychology, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm taking a step back and I'm looking at the culture, and you, Kanye, are what's part of the fucking problem. The misogyny, the playing into white supremacy, acting like it doesn't exist, supporting Trump, and I'm supposed to listen. I'm supposed to feel sympathy for Kanye? Well, I don't feel no sympathy for Kanye. I'm not impressed with his album. You can't rip off of the black slave music the black music that was inspired by slavery, and then make comments and never say sorry and try to. I'm not for it. And he's over here talking about his main supporters are college grads. It's white people. It's these white people, bro, and it's these black men. These black men who are very invested and who are invested in the idea that black men suffer the most. It is that specific population, that audience of people that Kanye can preach to. Quite honestly, I'm not impressed with Jesus is King. He didn't have a revelation. He didn't tell me anything new. He basically made a joke about like the Chick-fil-A. Like I don't know what I was supposed to get from the album. Maybe it's because I'm not a Christian, and maybe if I was a Christian, that's the problem. I was trying to look from it from a Christian lens, but there was no revelation to be had. And the thing is, Kanye is a lyricist, but the lyricism isn't that deep. Like it really ain't that deep. And even when you do look at the literal meaning of it, it's really fucked up. And I'm not for it. So honestly, I think I said, he said high school, like, right, people who are barely, who barely have, he said high school people are some of his biggest fans too, high school kids. I'm just thinking like people who barely have the autonomy to really start thinking for themselves in ways that hasn't been societally pressured, you know? That's why I don't like Kanye. I don't like Kanye. I don't feel bad for that opinion either, but Kanye doesn't understand the mechanisms behind structural inequality, and he just doesn't get it. He's so far removed from the culture, and that's why the culture has turned our back on him. Like the culture is all based off black people, and we're supposed to not be mad that you ripped off our culture, bruh. I just had to make this video. Kanye's interviews have given light to the problem with when we try to be colorblind, when we give stages and big platforms to those who are lost. I'm not blaming this on his mental illness, because I'm not creating that narrative that mentally ill people don't deserve platforms to talk. But this is what happens when someone who is mentally ill uses religion as a coping mechanism. You know, religion is supposed to, in psychology and counseling, we talk about religion as a healthy coping mechanism, but we really need to be careful about when and what spiritual values under which religion will be a healthy coping mechanism, because the values and the moral stances that Kanye has taken really are a step back. Kanye has not moved forward, and he is continuing to go in circles, and I don't know. If y'all have, give me y'all thoughts and opinions on this. If y'all have dissented opinions on Jesus is King, I didn't really like the album. I thought, sonically it was really good. I thought it was produced well. I even think he had catchy lyrics. But at the end of the day, what was Kanye talking about? What was his revelation? Bro didn't talk about nothing. There was nothing to be gained from his album, other than the misogyny and the sexism and the classism that is already evident in today's society. He is nothing more than a soundboard and the echoing of everything what's wrong with America. Everything that's wrong with and he's part of the culture. He's part of the problem.